Sergio Perez arrived at the Dutch Grand Prix wanting to continue the positive momentum he had found in the preceding races in Hungary and Belgium, both of which occurred prior to Formula One's summer break. However, after the race held at the Zandvoort circuit, the feeling is that the Mexican driver is still in debt and has yet to prove that he is worthy of his place at the wheel of the best car on the grid. Before we analyze Checo's performance, we invite you to subscribe to the Grid Report and to ring that notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos about the exciting world of Formula One. Perez had a decent Friday, but still finished both practice sessions almost half a second off his teammate Max Verstappen. Half a second is a considerable gap, and even more so on a track like Zandvoort, where the lap time in good weather conditions was just over 1 minute and 10 seconds. On Saturday, when the rain came, the situation changed. Verstappen was fastest in the morning free practice and Perez was third, something that seems to be a good result, but not when you see that the Mexican finished exactly 1 second behind. During the qualifying session, which started on the wet track, Perez barely made it through Q1 and Q2, both times being around a second slower than Verstappen. Q3 saw the biggest gap of the weekend between the two Red Bull drivers. On a now dry track, Verstappen crushed his rivals and got pole position by half a second over second place Lando Norris, while Checo barely managed 7th, 1.3 seconds off the Dutchman's mark. Perez blamed a wrong strategy in Q3 for the surprising gap to Verstappen, saying it was a mistake to have done 2 warm-up laps before going for the fastest lap. On Sunday, Perez had an incredible start to the race after he made the wise decision to pit for intermediate tyres at the end of the first lap when the rain appeared at Zandvoort, which allowed him to take the race lead on lap 3 by over 10 seconds. However, Verstappen quickly closed the gap, even setting a lap time 4 seconds faster. When the track dried out after the initial rain, Red Bull called Verstappen into the pits to switch to slick tyres on lap 11, and Perez came in on the next lap, returning to the track now second behind his teammate. Checo was surprised on the radio by Verstappen's undercut, but Red Bull boss Christian Horner explained after the race that there was a risk of Verstappen falling behind Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly if his pit stop was delayed by 1 more lap. Yes, Red Bull prioritized the driver who gave them the last 2 world championships and is on course for a 3rd. Can anyone blame them for that? Verstappen then pulled away from Perez as expected, and the Mexican did a good job of consolidating second place by building a comfortable gap over Alonso. Had the race finished in a 1-2 for Red Bull, then Checo would have ended the day on a high note. But the downpour came and Perez's afternoon went down the drain almost literally. The Mexican had a run-off track at turn 1, which caused slight damage to his rear wing and put him behind Alonso. He then went to the pits to change from intermediate to full wet tyres, but was caught out by the standing water and hit the pit lane wall. As a bonus, he was given a 5-second penalty for exceeding the speed limit, which Perez said was due to aquaplaning caused by the water on the pit lane entry. That penalty ended up costing Perez a podium finish, as he dropped from 3rd to 4th after the race, to Gasly's benefit. The track conditions were very difficult, with the rain at the end of the race, but apart from Zhou Guanyu, who crashed at turn 1, Perez was the one who lost the most by his mistakes in those moments. He missed out on the podium. That's the minimum result he should achieve if he is at the wheel of the best car on the grid. As Perez's up-and-down weekend at Zandvoort once again raised questions, Horner was asked about the Mexican's fortune for the 2024 season, but made it clear that his seat was firmly cemented in the 2nd season at Red Bull. Checo's situation for next year is clear. He's a Red Bull racing driver. We have an agreement with him. Irrelevant of agreements, we're pleased with the job that he's doing. You saw his drive today. He was unlucky at the pit lane speed limiter. He's 2nd in the World Championship. He's the only driver other than Max to have won races this year. It's easy to beat up on him when the barometer is so high on the other side, but he will be our driver in 2024. That is possibly the best news for Perez, who knows all too well that his performances are under the spotlight every time he gets in the Red Bull car. For the time being, that's it from the Grid Report, but stay tuned as we continue to provide you with the exclusive videos about Formula One.